Okay, so God allowed hard things to happen. How we respond to whatever happens is the most important thing. It's not the reaction, it's the response. It's not a light switch either, so we have to practice response. I had to practice processing my thoughts and my feelings, because practicing my thoughts and my feelings before was anger. I was very angry growing up. All of that shaped me to become who I am. And if I didn't go through those tough things, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Welcome to this episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. Today we got a special guest, Rick Niemi. He is a husband, father, entrepreneur, and overcomer who credits Jesus Christ for every victory in his life. Married to his wife Hilda for 30 years, Rick is the CEO of Valor Compounding Pharmacy, a multi-state licensed facility that creates custom medications for patients with unique needs.
That's right.
And the host of God's Economy podcast, where he teaches that when we surrender to God, we step out of the world's broken system and into his provision, wisdom, and favor. Rick's journey hasn't been easy.
That's right.
His parents divorced when he was 3. He endured years of abuse from a stepfather, and he lost his business he built for 10 years. But with that brokenness, God revealed himself as his father Rick never had, transforming everything. Today, Rick is passionate about helping people live their best lives.
That's right.
Mind, body, and spirit. Because simply being alive is not enough.
It's not enough. That's right.
It's not enough.
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for being on. I'm grateful to have you here. We connected, and you have this incredible spirit and energy.
Thank you.
And so learning your story and what your mission is, I thought, hey, no better person to have on and share perspective than you. And I'm excited to dive in, really find out about you and your heart and where all that comes from. Because what I've learned in life, the people that are most connected to energy, to faith, to really what it is that their value system are the ones that have been through the most.
That's exactly right. No, hardship definitely shapes you, how we respond to it. It's a big part of life. It's a big part of success, I think, in life.
So, Rick, you had a moment when God spoke with you directly, and he said 2 words that changed everything. What were those words?
I'm dad. I'm your dad. Yeah. You know, I accepted Christ into my life when I was 12. Didn't really know what it meant. Didn't see it modeled for me. So since that time, I've always been a believer in God, but outside of believing, didn't understand the relationship with God that I could have. Didn't understand the economy of God, obviously, and didn't understand his place in my life. And I think there was a time when I had lost a business after I had it for 10 years, and my identity was wrapped up in that. You know, so I was CEO when it went, I went, and I had this thought in my head, you know, the God's telling me I need to have a meeting with him. I'm like, that's silly. I want to avoid that. What is this all about? But the thought didn't go away. So I found myself in between work, doing other things around the house, trying to waste time, trying to fix the toaster. It didn't matter what it was. I was just delaying, basically.
You were drifting.
I was drifting, and it got to a point where, okay, I was ready. Hilda was at work. My wife's a pharmacist, and I was in the house by myself, and I sat down in my office chair and said, So what, Lord? Like, so what? Like, okay, let's meet. And he said, I'm your dad. And I just was like having these memories. And I do have probably a struggle with memory, a lot of stuff maybe I don't want to remember, but all these memories in chronological order of things happening in his place in my life and how he saved me, or this was him, or that was him. And I was overwhelmed with the memories and how powerful and real it was. And I was just distraught. I was in tears, and it was the one moment I realized, wow, he's really real. Like he's just not somebody up there that is some God in heaven. He's actually real. I felt it. So I had a fear. That's when I realized I probably experienced the fear of the Lord in a way where, wow, you're really powerful. What do you want me to do, Lord? What am I supposed to do? Was the question. He said very distinctly, I want you to learn to be my son. I'll teach you everything you need to know. I want you to love Christ I want you to love Hilda like Christ loved the church. And I want you to be a father to your kids like the one you never had. I'm like, yes, sir. When do I get to be CEO again? That's how kind of sick I was still, right? A lot of hurt from the brokenness. He repeated it. put me first, put Hilda second, be a father to your kids. And I said, you have the gift of encouragement. You haven't used it for good. You need to be used by me for good. So I want you to encourage others. I need you to write for people. And at the time, there wasn't social media, there wasn't videos, there was no smartphones, things like that. So I started a blog. And really what I did was I poured into the word for about 14 months in a way that I never had in my life. And by getting into the word got into me. And I was filled with everything I needed to finish the rest of my life, so to speak. And I still have it. I have 2 binders like this thick of study and notes and things that I just dove into to try to understand, who am I? And I think more importantly, whose am I?
Right.
And what I learned was that I'm a son of the King. I'm a child of the Most High God. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm an overcomer. So in this brokenness, in this time of in between what I did for work, which is still important, I got to learn and understand what my purpose was.
Yeah.
And my purpose was very simple. And all of our purposes, quite frankly, very simple, is to love God and love each other. And so what does that look like? So that's kind of what happened, and that moment changed me forever.
That moment changed you forever.
Changed me forever.
I know throughout our journeys of life, when we go through this human experience, some of the things that are the parts that allow us to drive to create success are the same things that end up holding us back and can be our doom in a way, right? And so when we tie, it sounds like you had your identity tied to success as a CEO and running that, but not as a believer, not as a father, not as a husband. And God said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Once you let go, then I'll bring those blessings back into your life.
Yeah. I want to speak on that though. So what I learned though, growing up, it was for me, I mean, dog eat dog. It was like my coping mechanism was to compete.
Right.
Because that was the only way I had affirmation or love. I thought it was. Yeah. So I became good. I was good at basketball. I actually wasn't even good at talking back then. So I just learned to compete, and that I thought that by competing, I would get recognition, appreciation, value, or love. Yeah. And that ran through my early childhood and into like when I met Hilda and things like that, where, you know, you have to be the life of the party, or you have to be this guy and all this stuff. And it was just a nonsense rat race. But that's when I kind of learned that I didn't need to do that, that I was already enough. Right. I had enough. I was enough. I am enough. He is enough in me. Right. I didn't need to do that anymore. And so it was kind of a building me back up, where I just, for lack of a better way of saying it, I remember him saying, we just need to learn how to just be Rick. Right. Not Rick the CEO, not Rick this, that, just Rick. Who's Rick? And that's why I started to understand, like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who does God want me to be? Wow. And this was the time that I really, you know, because I was kind of, I needed this moment to happen for me to get my act together. It wasn't that I was a bad husband. It wasn't that I was a bad father. It was that there was a lot more that I could do that I didn't know how to do. Yeah. Not having a father, not having a teacher, not having a mentor, not doing the college route the normal way. Yeah. So I allowed him to pour into me. And since that moment, I have understanding, I have wisdom, I have competency, I have knowledge, but it's not the knowledge from the world. Yeah. You know, it's his wisdom, which is a different level.
Different level of wisdom. Man, that's beautiful. Because I resonate with so much that you said, because growing up, my mom, she wasn't in my life. I lived just me and my dad. My dad was gone when I would wake up, and I would come home and he was gone because he was at work, right? And so I didn't have a lot of support and guidance, but where I did have support is my dad took me to all my sports. Yeah. And that was our connection point. Connection. And I found identity and a lot of my success in that. And I was very comfortable getting to a place that other people weren't comfortable being, and that became my superpower. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I resonate with that drive, and then also your journey of going through and then understanding there's something bigger. There's something bigger to live for. Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? For somebody else that's going through that journey, maybe they had a tough childhood and they haven't been able to let go of that. I want to take back to when your childhood, your parents divorced when you were 3,
Mm-hmm.
then your stepfather, who was abusive. What was that? What was that like for, uh, a boy looking at? You talked about it just now. That was who you had as an example. So, what was it like having a father that was abusive, and then that journey of, okay, I don't want to take that same pattern and bring that into my new family, my family life with my own kids.
Yeah.
How would that?
Well, I didn't know any different. I just knew that there was fear. You're afraid. I was afraid. I couldn't go. We had a small house, but there was a part of the house I wasn't allowed to be in because it had white carpet. I remember it was a special day, quote unquote, and I went into his bedroom and we played checkers or something like that. But this is the type of thing where, he had his own problems, and my mom did the best that she could. So there's no unforgiveness from my mom. I think there was some at some point.
Of course.
We all could have a do-over, but she did the best that she could.
Yeah.
She was also trying to provide for us. But it was just, there was a lot of fear and discouragement. And one day he drove off in his truck and never came home. And we learned that he committed suicide.
Oh.
Yeah. And we all cried out of joy, though, that it was over. You know what I'm saying? Like the abuse, the physical, the verbal abuse. And again, I think the most important thing is it how we respond to it. I mean, we can look at any tough thing that happens. And I've been talking lately about doing hard things.
Yeah.
And I think that God allows hard things to happen to us. But do we choose to do hard things? It's the difference. Okay, so God allowed hard things to happen. How we respond to whatever happens is the most important thing. It's not the reaction, it's the response. But it's not a light switch either. So we have to practice response. So I had to practice processing my thoughts and my feelings, because practicing my thoughts and my feelings before was anger. I was very angry growing up.
Right.
I was very angry as a teenager. I was very angry at the whole situation. And even though I was trying to have happiness or find joy, that was still there. So I had to really ask God to help me get rid of this anger. I need to replace anger with peace and joy, but not the kind of happiness that you would come from getting things or worldly circumstances, but the kind of peace and joy that you just had it no matter what the circumstance was. But getting back to hard things, all of that shaped me to become who I am. And if I didn't go through those tough things, I wouldn't be who I am today. I didn't make a choice, though. I mean, am I going to go this way or that way? Is this going to be my excuse for my reason why I am the way that I am?
Right.
And the decisions and the poor choices that I'm going to make? Or am I going to use this as a platform to say, no, I'm going to rise above that. I've seen that. I don't want that. This is what I want. I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I'm going to either fake it till I make it, or God's going to make it happen. So for some reason, I've always just believed I could do it. I don't know why. I didn't know how I was going to do it or if I was going to do it. And I mean, I would say maybe I was full of shit, but I still thought I could do it. You got to believe. Who else? We got to believe. And that's what I want to do. I want to motivate and inspire in people, and to encourage people that they are too more than a conqueror. They are an overcomer, that we don't have to settle for being a victim. So this is just my thing. Everyone has their thing, and we need everyone. We need those who have accountability. We need those that are good with structure, good with administration. We need those who have vision. We need those who have love. We need those who have encouragement. That's who I am. If you need somebody that's going to seriously hold you accountable, I may not be your guy.
Yeah.
If you need motivation and inspiration and encouragement to be your best self, then I'm your guy. And by the way, I need somebody to hold me accountable. So I need another person in my life to help complement me on maybe something else I might struggle with.
Right.
And that's why we all need each other. And this is what I call God's economy.
That's right. You have such a gift. I know that you've already given me encouragement, and through joining Level 5 Life, because now you're part of Level 5 Life.
Let's go.
Movement there.
Let's go. I'm excited.
I look forward to holding accountability with you.
That's going to be good. That's going to be good. I look forward to doing it. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, if there's more meat on the bone to live my best life, I'm all about it. I mean, there is capacity.
Yeah.
So I always talk about this. I ask God to create capacity in me, for me, through me, so that I can do infinitely more than I could ever think or imagine, with Him leading the way.
Sounds like that's your mantra.
It is. It is because there's no way I'm living this life. There's no way I'm married for 30 years, have two beautiful kids, have a beautiful company, have the friendships that I have. I often feel like I never feel like an imposter because I'm not sorry for God's goodness in my life. There's a big difference. I'm not sorry or regrettable that God is so good to me. No, I'm a humbly proud Christian man.
Yeah. Humbly proud Christian man. I love that. As a humbly proud Christian man, would you share that mantra with us one more time?
Sure. I think it's important for a believer, especially for men, to not go around like we're sorry or that we're weak. We can be a very strong Christian man in our values, in our belief system, without being arrogant and prideful and having it come across in the wrong way. And I think the most important thing someone did teach me was that approach determines landing. With the right approach, we can have the right landing with people. And so over the years, I've really paid attention to try to meet people where they're at,
Right.
instead of trying to get people to meet me where I'm at, because a connection will happen when I meet them there.
Yeah.
If I expect them to meet me where I'm at, whether it's my kids or some employees or different people I'm talking to, and it's not that I'm all high-minded, because that's not it at all. It's just to try to connect with people. I always begin with the end in mind, where they're at first.
Couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah.
But that is sometimes a very hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Did you always start that way?
No, man. It was, again, I had what it was. I'll tell you a true story about how God works. I told the Lord, I'm sick and tired of having regrettable behavior.
Yeah.
This was in my mid-30s. This was when he told me he was dead. I'm like, well, what do I need to learn first? And so I was reading that God will give you anything you ask for if it's in his will. Not talking about money or a car, but talking about a fruit of the Spirit or a character trait. So I said, Lord, I am sick and tired of having these instances where I'm sorry the next day. I'm sick and tired of being sorry for what I said or what I did. How do I fix this?
How do I change it?
So he says, we're going to work this out. This anger, this process of you processing these feelings of having to set the record straight or having to have the last word. Go to your computer and write it all out and send yourself an email. Read it the next day, and if you feel like you want to send it the next day, then you send it.
That's good.
Oh my God, dude! I'm gonna tell you,
That's a game changer right
dude,
there.
When I the first time I did it, I said, Hilda, come here, come into the office, come here. I said, check this out. I was gonna say this last night, and I wrote it out. Look how bad this is. Somehow, I don't know. I actually had self-control, and I didn't do it, and thank God I didn't do it. And today, I'm not sorry. That's a perfect example, and I practiced that over time to where I could hold my tongue, not say something I shouldn't say, whether it was in the wrong tone or the wrong words or whatever. And God helped me learn to have more self-control with what I said, who I said it to, because that wasn't going to honor God. And so that was one way where I wanted to honor God with my mouth and not do the wrong things with the gifting of being able to talk to people. And he helped me learn a new trait, a new character skill.
So if you're struggling right now with reacting, and that creates an outcome that you don't desire in your life, and that's a consistent thing that you see show up, Rick just shows that there's an ability to become aware of it, and shift that.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that's dealing with that right now specifically?
To dealing with which one?
Which overreacting to situations instead of looking at the end in mind.
So I believe that when it comes to reacting, I mean, there's sometimes we're supposed to do something and sometimes we're supposed to do nothing. So I'm always asking God permission, to be honest with you, like, should I or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And so this is where somebody would say, hey, how do you do life? Do you go to church on the weekend? And I go to church on the weekend, but I'm trying to do life with God every day. I'm not just doing life with God just on Sunday. Right. So the question is, should I or shouldn't I? What should I say? What shouldn't I say? And to kind of, and the word tells us, like, Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice. So I've learned to try to hear God when I should or shouldn't do something, when I should say something or when I should say something. So situationally, should we wait? Should we not wait? What should I say? How should I say it? So it's really an asking permission of God and learning this over a process. But sometimes we should say something and sometimes we shouldn't say something, or sometimes I would also say that when it comes to dealing with life, there's people that lose to no decision from fear, and there's people that try too much. So I tend to be on the effort side. Some people might be on the lack of trying or on the fear side, so they need to try more. Okay, so if you're on the lack of effort side, I would tell you that we need to do our part. And I ask God, like, what's at my part? Not your part, but what's my part? And then if you're if you're doing too much, then we need to give God room to be God. So that's actually where I err most of the time. I can do it on my own, and I can see you too, because you're a baller, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you drive, and we're crushing it. So I believe, like guys like us, we need to give God room to be God.
Right.
Where's the line in the sand where my effort ends and your part begins?
Yeah, but I've experienced that a lot in my life.
Yeah,
because I try to take the ball and I grab onto it so tight, and I'm gonna drive it all the way there, and it doesn't matter what happens. And the more you resist, the more it persists. And sometimes you just let go and you allow God's will to happen.
yeah.
And then it just flows to you. And so last year I felt like, you know what, I did a lot of rowing. A lot of rowing, a lot of strength, a lot of struggle. And that, my word for the year was impact. That was every day I woke up thinking about how do I create impact. But the impact was a lot of rowing, a lot of heavy lifting. This year, my word is abundance, but it correlates to selling and let the wind help navigate me to the destination and drive that instead of using brute force. And so I think that's when we're driven and we come from the traumas that we come from as a child, and we have that inside of us where we have this like extra little bit of like, I have to prove it to myself in a way.
Yeah.
It's not that I have to prove it to the outside world.
Yeah.
It's like, I said this, I'm going to make it happen. I have this self-worth. I have this value. It's a hard thing to go through that transition of letting go. And I want to get with that a little bit more because I also resonate with another part of your journey, and that's building a company for 10 years and then losing the company and having that failure and that identity tied to it. And that was the biggest growth I've ever had in my life.
Absolutely.
Because from that, I didn't even want to live anymore. That's how much that weighed on top of me. And I don't think until you go through a situation like that, you realize what an impact when you've put every ounce of your being into something for over a long period of time, how that can impact you just physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I'd like to find out a little bit more about that, because the second breaking point you had from growing up to then you had built something and then lost it. And then this is where you showed up to meet God. I know you and Hilda bought your first pharmacy 3 months after your wedding.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
Yes.
I didn't know it was rough, but I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking.
You're like, well, we're newlyweds. Let's put more stress on our life.
Oh my God.
Let's really test.
But I will tell you, that was a God thing. So meeting Hilda, I mean, I will tell you, I mean, honey, if you're watching it, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me.
It's her birthday today too, right?
Happy birthday, honey. I love you.
Hilda. Yeah,
you look.
Still come out afterwards.
You look as beautiful as ever, honey. I love you to death. No, I mean, Hilda's been the best thing ever in my life. Everything that's good in my life has come from her.
Yeah,
Don't tell her that.
She has great energy.
Oh man, she has great energy. So I was selling advertising in the Bay Area. I started my first company when I was 22. I started a direct mail publication, business to business, after selling advertising. Between 21 to 22, 23, I started my own publication where I was trying to generate leads for business to business. And I was just hustling. Happened to be in Walnut Creek talking to a business broker. And the guy didn't buy my ad, but I said, hey, because I'm relational, man. I'm just always out there. Hey, if you ever have a pharmacy for sale, let me know. My wife doesn't want to work for Walgreens anymore. And I was totally kidding.
It's like, hey.
Totally He called me 2 months later. So you have a pharmacy for sale in Sacramento. I'm like, I was just kidding. I don't know how to buy a pharmacy.
He's like,
yeah. And so again, this is, when I talk about God's economy, this is an example of how God opens doors for his people. Now, that guy could have said, hey, I have a pharmacy for sale, and I could have done nothing. But that's not how it works. Me and you.
Take action.
No, man. We're action people, man. Yeah. We are action. So I'm like, what do I got to do? So I had an older friend, again, 10 years older than me at the time. Yeah. We were working in this SBA package. Yeah. Got our own money together. Got 10 grand from Hilda's dad. Thank you, Poppy. I love you. And 10 grand, we bought this pharmacy when I was 24 years old. Got married in June, bought the pharmacy in September. Yeah. Had no idea what was about to happen.
Yeah, no.
But
what am I walking into right now?
Yeah, what am I walking into? And, it was not easy working with your spouse, but not realizing that every time I got more business, she had to do more work too, which that doesn't go over well. I go get Starbucks and I'm out here running around and doing the business.
I'm crushing. I'm getting business.
No. And
Yeah.
and she's a slave of the job. Yeah. So that was tough. But, I had an older partner at the time.
Yeah.
I was 24. He was 34. Right after I bought the business, first of all, the seller sold me a business that he sold the retail scripts to Kmart across the street and didn't tell me. So that and I got duped on that. And that's my fault as a young guy. So I lost business there. Then I had a partner that was 10 years older than me that was scheming to steal half the customer list and half the employees, which he actually did.
Right.
Left me with half the business. I was in debt. At that moment, I did have to file Chapter 13.
Yeah.
Trustee took over the business.
Yeah.
I went out and did some selling, got the business back up on its feet, and we did a 5X in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I took the business back, and we had very extreme success through a tactic of me getting new customers for the pharmacy. But then something happened in year 10 where it all came crashing down, and he allowed it to happen for me to get my life right. Even though I had done nothing wrong and I had the business for 10 years. That's a long time.
That's a long time, yeah.
Businesses usually don't go out of business at that stage.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a pharmacy company. But he allowed everything to happen for his reasons. And I had to actually look at myself on why he allowed it to happen. Because at first I was mad at God. Why are you doing this?
Of course.
But then why turned into what? Instead of why, what am I going to do? And I think that's the most important thing if you have a hardship. Why is not the most important question to ask yourself. What am I supposed to do in this moment is in fact the most important thing to do. Because focusing on what is positive for what we're going to do and change. And a lot of times we have to do introspective thinking about ourselves. Like, what do I need to do differently? And I think the hardest thing I ever did after the business went out was God told me, you need to go to these 5 people and you need to make it safe for them to tell you the truth about yourself.
Oh.
And I was like, there's no freaking way I'm doing this. There's no way. I don't want to.
Right?
I don't want to do this. And so I did it, and it was absolutely death, what they said.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't mean that it was manipulation. That I was taking inventory on what was the truth about what they said, and not everything they said was truth, but a lot of what they said was truth. And then I had to decide for myself whether or not I was going
respond to it.
Whether or not I was going
Because
to.
It's their truth.
It was their truth. Whether I was going to make those changes or not.
Yeah.
And I did take some very tough feedback into consideration and used it to make some positive changes in my life.
Right.
But being that vulnerable and making it safe for these people to tell me the absolute truth without me, reacting a certain way or trying to get back at them, I had to convince them that I wasn't going to do it.
Well, I mean, because that's the hardest part, right? When we're confronted with the actual mirror, when we're naked and we're completely vulnerable. And we'd like to put a face on.
Yep. And it was after a hardship, so I was already down and out.
Yeah. But that was the time that it could make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
Because it's just like teams. When they're winning, even if they're dysfunctional, nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's not until they start losing. Usually once they start losing and they have those problems, then it just spirals.
Yeah.
And then the light shines on it.
That's right.
And
That's
so you
right.
have to address those real issues before you can start moving back in the.
That's right.
What would you say, looking back over those 10 years, what was the reason God said, hey, you have to go through this first before I'm going to give you these other blessings?
Because I didn't have the skills. I wasn't equipped with the character traits that he was going to teach me. I wasn't going to survive what was going to happen.
Right.
So I just talked about this last week. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins.
Right.
And he was trying to create a new wineskin in my life so that I would have increased capacity to do new and different things. Oh. And if I wasn't going to make the personal changes in my life as a foundation, I wasn't going to survive the success that I was going to have.
Man, I resonate with that too throughout my life.
We can't stay who we are and expect to do a new thing. So it does mean we have to continue to grow and evolve and get better in different ways.
How comfortable are you with those parts that you identified and the light was shined on that you had to shift? Can you talk?
I wasn't comfortable. It was a process.
Oh, how comfortable are you now about that?
Oh, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable because I'm built different now.
Yeah.
I'm built different. It tells us in James, it says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because those trials will give you endurance and perseverance so that you're complete and lacking nothing. So these trials are meant to build us up. They're not meant to tear us down. But in the moment, we're so drowning in what's happening that we can't get out of our own way to see what God's teaching us. And a lot of times the learning is after the fact. And I oftentimes say there's a lot of seasons where it's quiet and I'm not hearing God because I'm in a time of testing. And the teacher doesn't talk to us when we're in the test sometimes.
What was that moment in your life that was the darkest? What was that moment that you didn't know if you would come back from?
I think when my mom moved to Oregon with my stepdad and I was basically on my own, like even financially at 21.
Yeah.
And I would go into AM/PM and make 3 hot dogs, eat 2, and pay for 1.
Right.
Or when I went into Jack in the Box and they called Jack's order and I went and took their food.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going to get food from or how I was going to make it, and I didn't have a consistent job. The first 6 months of when she left, I was on a commission-only job. I was selling advertising, and after the second or third week, I was number 1 on the board for sales, but I wasn't collecting any money, so I had no money. And the owner came and says, "Rick, you're really good at getting people to say yes to this, but you're not going to get paid unless you get a check." So I'm like, damn, man, I had no courage at that moment. So the next week, this guy's like, "Hey, I'll give you half down and half later." I'm like, all right, sounds good. Not knowing that that's an annuity and the map took 6 months. So after 6 months of getting half now and half later, I got a check for like $2,000 on a Friday. This is like 1990. This is like a long time ago, bro.
A long time ago.
I thought I was rich, dude. I got a check for $2,000.
Like, hey, this is the most money
I will tell you. I went to the copy store. They don't have those anymore. I went to the copy store. I made a copy of the check and I mailed it to my mom because I was angry.
Yeah. Like, look, this is what I can do.
Yeah. But and then I learned I was really good at sales.
Yeah.
I could talk, I could speak if it's something that's practical. A little frustration with my pharmacy company because it doesn't work like that because it can't sell drugs. But but when it comes to explaining something or selling something, I love to do it. It's a lot of fun.
So you finally slowed down enough to meet God.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that encounter and what happened.
You know, it's always been hard for me to sit still and be quiet sometimes. But that day, I had basically realized that everything I was trying to do to avoid the conversation with him was out of the way, and that encounter was very powerful for me. I was overwhelmed about how real he was. It almost felt audible. It almost felt audible to me, like I could hear his voice in the room. I was just by myself in my office, and it'll probably never happen again. But it was enough for me to know that he's real in my life, and that I learned that he's the giver and taker of everything that I have in my life. And I have a fear of God in the sense that, and I was going to say this a few minutes ago, but there's nothing more dangerous, in my opinion, that or at risk than a capable man or woman, because that capable man or woman might have the sense or the reality that they don't need God. And the word tells us that God blesses those who realize their need for him.
Yeah.
You understand? So for me, I was trying to understand my need for him in that moment. And it was pretty much a yes, sir, yes, Lord thing for me. And it's not that I don't obey the Lord when he tells me to do things, but I'm slow to obey sometimes. So my word this year is obedience. Slow to obey is still disobedience.
Yeah.
So that's convicting me a lot right now. So I want to be on the good side of God's economy and God's will by obeying him sooner, faster, quicker, so that I can experience what he wants me to experience and go through the things he wants me to go through. But that day was powerful, and like I said, it changed my life forever.
And on that day, you asked God, "What do you want me to do?" And he told you 3 things.
Yep.
What were those?
Those things were to learn to be his son. He'll teach me everything I need to know. To love Hilda like Christ loved the church, and be a father to my kids like the one I never had.
And then you ask God, "When do I get to be CEO?"
Yeah, I was sick, man.
And what did he say to that?
He just said the same thing. He repeated it, man. I'm like, Lord, are you kidding me? Because, I just needed to get back to where I was. And so he's like, no, we're going to learn how to just be my son. We need to basically take a step back. If you're going to grow into and get into the land of milk and honey that I'm going to give you. You need to become a new person. And so it does say in the word, and I keep referencing the word, and this I'm trying to tell you, let God transform us into a new person by changing the way we think.
Yeah.
I had to let him do that in me.
Yeah.
So I'm more than capable. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm an overcomer. It's an attitude and perspective that I have. It's an affirmation and a self-talk I have of myself every day.
Right. That in that moment, hidden memories surfaced. You realized God had always been with you. Can you describe what you saw?
Yeah. I mean, I would have a memory when I was like 5 and it was not good. And I remember just having a sense of peace and calm about it. It was a chronological order from when I was 5 to up to the point where at the age that I was. And I really don't have a good memory. I feel bad for my sister, Lori, if you're watching this. And she has maybe the curse of memory. She remembers all of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I blacked it out or I don't think about it. I've never had counseling sessions about it. I've never had, professional help about it. I've never dealt with it in that way. God's just healed my heart about it, but he's allowed me to just move on without having to dwell on whatever happened. And, not let the past be a reason why I couldn't be the best version of myself today.
The past does not dictate your present or your future.
No, it does not.
It does not. That's one of the hardest lessons.
The choices we make do.
The choices.
What are we in control of, Garin?
Every day we have the opportunity to change that.
Is that our choice?
It is.
Amen.
Amen.
It's our choice.
Yeah. Once we let go and allow God to guide us and be in our lives in that way,
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to trust that God was actually a good father?
A while.
Mm.
A while. It took a while, because people talk about this. They talk about this coexistence or this alignment of trust and faith. How do you have faith if you don't have trust, or how do you have trust if you don't have faith? And they go hand in hand. So one of the exercises I've done with my wife or my kids is just to have this envelope exercise. I just did it recently. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I did it is because I wanted to show my family that things that they worried about or they had fear about, one, were never going to happen. Most of it. We worry about stuff that doesn't happen. And two, if it does happen, so what? It wasn't as bad as we thought it was. Right. So I think when it comes to just processing that kind of thing, that's something that I've done in the past to kind of work on that.
What would you say the difference between believing in God and following Christ? How did that change your life?
I did have a pastor mentor friend who's not with us anymore. He taught me that, Rick, even the demons believe. I'm like, wow, that's profound, man.
Even the demons believe. Wait, so even the demons believe that there's a God. Okay. Right?
Okay, there was a time where Jesus went to the person that was possessed and said, "Come, negative spirit, come out of this person." And the spirit knew who Jesus was. Jesus, get away from me. Even the demons know that Jesus is Jesus.
They believe that Jesus is Jesus. They know.
So it's not that, again,
you're a believer.
Okay, so I want to clarify this. This is not about salvation. Yeah. Okay, salvation is not, in my opinion, it's not something we can earn. It's a gift. I'm not good enough. I can't earn it. Okay, it's a gift. But even the demons believe. So what though? So even if we believe, so what? So what are we going to do? Nothing? So we're going to believe and not have a changed life? That's it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
The whole point is to have a changed life, is to have a changed heart. It says in the word, again, it's easier for a man to go through an eye of a needle than it is for a man's heart to change. How does a man's heart change?
We will put ourselves through hell before we ever change our heart.
Exactly. So you asked the question, believing versus following. So following is this journey of sanctification. And I wish the church, honestly, I wish we all talked about it more. And sanctification is the process of just being more like Jesus every day. We're going to fall short, man. We're going to need do-overs.
Of course.
We're going to mess up. We all do. We all need it. We all fall short.
All fall short.
But that's the process that I think we should talk about more, because that's where the changed life happens. Believing by itself, that's why it says faith without works is dead. It's not that we get to heaven by our works, but if, show me your faith by your works and how we live it with each other, how we love each other, the things that we do, the things that we say no to, those types of things. And I always look at it like, what do we do that honors God? Is there anything in my life happening that does not honor God? Because God honors us with what we honor him with.
And God honors us with what we honor
Facts.
him with.
You can departmentalize it or you can give him the whole thing. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I honor God with my money, but not my marriage. I honor God with my marriage, but not my kids. I mean, is it going to be, are we all in or not?
You got to be all in. Powerful, man. So you grew up, didn't have a good example for, a mother or a father, and you went through.
My mother was good. She did the best she could. I mean, I love my mom.
She did the best.
I love my dad too, but he just was
Went
not
through this
present.
whole process.
I love my mom.
Of forgiving.
Yeah.
Of that stuff, because who someone is and where they are.
Yeah.
Can be very different.
Yeah.
And I had to understand the trauma that my mother had went through for her to be the way she was and not show up in my life.
Yes.
And once I was able to look at it from that perspective, it gave me so much empathy.
Yes.
And understand that actually the way that in that time of her life had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, exactly.
It had to do with where she was going through and the traumas that she was dealing with. And that's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And to let go and forgive and create that space, right? Because it's easy to say, oh, I'm a believer, or I've evolved in my life, or I worked on that trauma, until that trauma resurfaces and something happens. Are you able to be the container? Are you able to hold that space that is required to allow them to go through that process that they're going through, and not take that personally and respond?
Yeah.
And what we talked about is you getting to that point where you weren't in that reaction and were able to stop.
Yeah.
And because as kids growing up with trauma, our first thing is to react, to press away.
For sure.
That's our.
Well, how do we cope? How do we get through it?
Right.
And so I always say, if you're not getting your needs met,
right.
If I'm not getting my needs met, there's generally two things that happen.
Right.
One, I suffer, and I'm a victim. Or two, I get my needs met somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of.
Those are yes.
So it's how do we cope
how do we cope?
You know,
I hear that. So you went from that situation to being having a beautiful wife, 2 incredible kids. I've met your family, I've interacted with them, and they have this spirit and this joy to them.
They do.
That you can see through, and I'm grateful to meet them and experience and share some conversations and everything with them. And it talks about a lot about you as a father. But going through that, God told you to love Hilda like Christ loved the church. That's a tall order for anybody. No. What did that actually look like? Because I know a lot of people may be struggling with that right now. What did that actually look like in practice, and what changed in how you showed up as a husband?
Dude, it's still a work in progress. I mean, being a husband is something you learn how to do with intentional effort and purpose. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm still a work in progress. I love my wife to death. But I'm still trying to do and be God's love to her in a way that is new and different, especially this season in our life where our kids are, 25 and 22. I had no skills to be married.
Right.
When we got married, 0. Neither did she. But it was raw and honest, and even through the tough times, we always still chose each other. So, honey, if you're watching this, I love you. I thank you for getting through all the tough times with me over the years. The first 10 years of our marriage was very, very challenging. But I wouldn't want to do life with anyone else. And for whatever reason, she's just my person, and I'm her person. And I think love is a choice too. It's like, it's so easy to say in today's day and age, new and different and better, and I want this, or we don't get along, or we're not the same person. And that's just, and again, I've heard also somebody, they'll say, don't tell me, how long you've been married, tell me the quality of your marriage. And so that matters a lot. That's that does matter. The quality of your marriage matters more than the length of the time you've been married. How's the relationship? And it is give and take, and it's not easy, but nothing is easy, right? Nothing is easy. So if you want a good marriage, work in your marriage.
If you want a good marriage, work on your marriage.
Simple as that. I mean,
where you put intention,
you
put energy.
What do guys do? They work at work. They're great at work. So they avoid the marriage. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm good at work, so I work.
And that's avoidance.
It's avoidance, yeah.
And we package it up and layer it differently.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's avoidance.
Yeah. Yeah. Takes effort.
You became a father to your kids,
yep.
and father that you never had.
Yep.
How were you able to go from not having an example to being the father?
Not easy.
Today?
I had I'll tell you straight up, like, it was unnatural for me to spend time with my kids when they were younger. When my dad would pick me up, it would be my turn to go to his house on the weekends. He'd just put me in front of the TV. Oh, wow. Actually, there were times where my dad actually got a babysitter when it was his turn to have me.
So he wasn't even. You're like.
I don't
"Is
think
it
he.
this
I don't
our
know if
time?"
he ever came to one of my basketball games.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, I lived in Livermore. He lived in Milpitas. It was a 20-minute drive. I literally, when I had a sales job working for Process, I would literally travel on a Tuesday, come back on a Thursday, and go right to my son's practice. Not even his game. I wanted to just watch him practice. I didn't miss a single game.
Yeah.
So when it came to spending time with the kids when they were younger, it was unnatural for me. I had to learn how to do that. I think that what I realized is that, wow, I have an opportunity to be a dad. What am I going to do with this opportunity?
Right.
And with that opportunity, and if you're watching this and you're one of Evan's friends, you know that I was always the other dad. I was your dad too. If you needed anything, I would do it for you. Money, encouragement, a Bible, a ride, it doesn't matter what. If you were in my son's circle, I was going to be your dad too. I can't even tell you how many, I mean, and it's been like that ever since. They call me slick, or they call me, whatever they call me. I just, because I love my kids and I love my kids' friends. And I realized that I got the chance to be what I didn't have, and I was going to make the most of it. But again, this came to fruition at this level through this hardship when I was 35.
Right.
So the kids were just around the 10, and I realized, man, I really got to pour into whatever it looks like to be. I have to be present as a father.
Yeah.
And even when the tough times came, and I'll tell you this, if you're a parent and you have kids, one of the best responses I ever had to them was, let me do my job. You only have one dad. Let me do my job. And that was the way that they didn't have a response to that if it was something I was trying to parent them, because, looking back in it, I would say Hilda was definitely right more than I was when it came to the parenting. And one of the reasons why Hilda and I have been able to do well in our marriage is because at some point in our marriage, we had a who wears the pants in the family conversation. And we divided and conquered. I didn't realize it wasn't intentional. It just happened. She wanted the kids. I would take care of the money. I was going to do this, and she was going to do that. I'd take care of the house. She'd take care of the whatever. And so we kind of divided and conquered
Just
responsibilities.
Like in business, if two people own it, no one owns it. If
Yes.
the person's responsible.
So we decided it was actually by accident.
Yeah.
And so it got to where she got the kids. But no, I mean, being a father to the kids and being intentional as a dad, being present with them, supporting them, always being there for them, being at their events.
Powerful.
You don't get the time back. You got one shot.
Don't get the time back.
You don't get the time back. You have one shot to be a
Never
parent.
guaranteed either.
No, it's never
Right?
guarantees.
It's never guaranteed either. So that transitions us to where we are now. And you both are now getting into the season of being empty nesters.
Mm-hmm.
And now your goal, it sounds like, is to pour into others as God has poured into your life.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I think I'm just at a point in my life where it's time to pour out. It's time to share. It's time to share God's goodness. I had the thought of God's economy had been coming up over and over in some conversations in some work that I've been doing. I'm like, what is God's economy, and why do I keep talking about it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next, because, it's very clear. There's the world's economy, and we understand how that works, and some of us understand it better than others.
Yeah.
And then you're bringing this concept, and I love this, of God's economy.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about there's the world's economy and there's God's economy, what does that mean?
God's economy is, I want to talk about it because what I want to really tell to whoever's listening is that I've never been qualified for anything I've ever done, but God's equipped me to accomplish everything He's ever asked me to do. So this is what I mean. God's economy in my life is, I've been married for 30 years, but I have no reason to be. I didn't go to college, but I'm still a successful entrepreneur. I didn't have a father, but I learned how to be my kid's father.
Right.
So this is on the good side of experiencing God's economy. God's economy could be, and by the way, God's economy, and even my podcast, it's not that I'm telling you what it is. The purpose of God's economy is for you to think about what it means in your life. That's what it means. Okay. So there's good and bad sides of God's economy. I'll give you if I'm a believer and I'm often doing the wrong things, He's going to bring me back and have me have a hardship because He wants me to get back on the straight and narrow. He's going to bring me back.
Yeah.
If I'm off track.
Right.
That's a tough side of God's economy.
That's
the other side of God's economy is, and God's economy, you could think of it as, what is God's currency?
Yeah.
The world's currency is status, money, power, greed, all this stuff that we see, right? And God's economy is peace and joy, patience, fruits of the Spirit, the types of things that the money can't, that the money or the world can't give you. God's economy is the currency that the world can't give you.
Currency that the world can't
Yeah.
give you.
So God's economy isn't the purpose for me to tell you what it is. I can explain to you what it means in my life. And what it means in my life is I'm an overcomer. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm a child of the Most High God. I'm a treasured child of the Most High God. I'm a son of the King. It's an attitude and a perspective. It's an identity that I take on.
Identity. For someone listening who hasn't taken that journey about faith,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe has been burned by faith,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or has been put off by that, what would you say to them if they're thinking about reigniting that belief or diving into it?
Don't let the enemy ruin the relationship that you can have with God. The things that have happened, whether with other people or hypocrisy or, everyone has a reason or an excuse to have that where I used to believe and now I don't, or I want to believe but I don't. I would tell you that the faith that you can have and the relationship that you can have with God through his son Jesus is a personal relationship between you and him. And it has nothing to do with someone else's brokenness. It has nothing to do with what else someone else is doing. The world is full of hypocrites. Including myself. We all can be hypocrites, right? That's not the point. The point is that we all fall short. We're all sinners, and we all need a God in heaven. And if you take your hurt, if you take your pain, and you take your doubt, even this one man in the Word says, "Lord, I want to believe. Help me with my unbelief." He said, I want to believe, but help me with my unbelief. So if you believe there's a God, there's a God. If you believe there is no God, then there is no God. You actually get to be right in this case.
You get to be right.
Everyone always has whatever evidence they need to support their position.
Yeah. So why not believe in something better?
Well, I would say just give God a chance, give him a try. But I would also say to everyone listening that, and I say that all the time, people hear it's a broken record. Everyone always finds what they look for, Garin. Yeah. If you're looking for God, you'll find him.
Yeah.
If you're not looking for God, you won't find him. If you're looking for trouble, what can you not look for that you can't find? Drugs, sex. It doesn't matter what it is.
It's just like in relationships with single people. They're like, oh, red flags. I'm looking for red flags. Well, if you're always looking for red flags, what do you think you're always going to find? You're going to find red flags. And if you look at the best in people, maybe you get disappointed sometimes, but that's what you feed into and that's what you bring out. And that's part of that encouragement that you talk about.
If you're looking for why it won't work, it won't. If you're looking for why it will work, it will. It's up.
Right. It's up to you to take that action, make that decision. Because we're coming to the end of this time, so there's a couple more really important questions I want to rapid fire through. But before we get to the rapid fire, you said if this episode inspired one person to take one action, you'd want them to ask themselves, what am I doing and why am I doing? Unpack that, and why is that question so important?
What am I doing and why am I doing it? I think because I think we need to get into the reasons for why we do things. We need to understand our why. So when I realized that my purpose was to be God's son and to be Hilda's husband, and that was the foundation for who I am, and the father to my kids, it gave me a foundation and a platform for me to be a better CEO at my company, a better friend to my friends, a better person in the community.
Right.
I think identity matters. I think to understand who we are and whose we are, our identity in Christ, as a believer, I think that there's nothing more important than that.
Nothing more important than that. So we're going to go through, and that brings us to rapid fire.
Okay.
So we're going to go through 15 seconds, break it down to 15 seconds, as impactful as you can.
Okay.
Best advice you ever received?
I'm worth it. I deserve it. I can do it.
I'm worth it. I deserve it. I can do it. One Bible verse that anchors you.
I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
I can do all things in Christ because he's.
I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
What do you and Hilda argue about the most?
Our kids.
What would you tell your 21-year-old self?
It's going to be a tough road. Hang in there, buddy.
God's economy in 1 second.
God's economy will change your life if you look for God's currency. It's better than the world's.
What's the biggest lie the world tells us about success?
It'll make you happy. It'll fulfill you.
How do you start your mornings?
With Jesus and coffee.
Jesus and coffee, baby. Let's go. Last one. What are you most grateful for right now?
I'm just grateful for God's goodness in my life, man. Honestly. And he's just so good. And it would be blasphemy if I didn't tell others about it.
Final question
Yeah.
before we say goodbye. If someone listening grew up like you did, broken home, absent father, wondering if they're enough, what do you want them to know about who they can become?
I would say what I said a second ago is that you're worth it. You deserve it. You can do it. And I will tell you this. If it's not going to be you, it's going to be somebody else. So why not you?
Why not you? Rick, I'm so grateful that you were out here. You dropped so much beautiful from your heart. Really, I could feel the energy from you and the genuineness. So I just want to say I admire that about you, and I appreciate you bringing that spirit into this
Thank you, brother.
podcast today and sharing that with everybody. This wraps up our episode of the Gynergy Effect. If you like today's episode, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that great things. Let's get the message out about God's economy and what that actually means. And we will see you again next week. Grateful for you spending that time.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.
Love
bro.
you, man.
Love you too. Till next time.
If this episode spoke to your soul,
Share it with someone you love. And tag us at the Gynergy Effect. We'd love to connect.
and remember, your energy is your power. Use it with intention.